All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I hope you're having a great day. Say hi if you're live today. And if you're catching the replay, just put hashtag replay in the comments for me. All right, so today we are talking all about blood sugar. So, how many of you need some help with blood sugar, with your blood sugar, with diabetes? Let me know um, if you're not, even if you're not diabetic, you can still benefit from these tips because they'll help you they'll help you prevent diabetes as well. It'll help you keep from getting like pre-diabetes, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes. So even if you're not diabetic, you can also benefit from these because these tips will also help you prevent it. So, so the key to healing or preventing type 2 diabetes is not just to keep your blood sugar balanced, but it's actually lowering it to a normal level. And that's really the difference in management of diabetes, which you'll probably hear when you go to the doctor. You're going to hear that more, like managing diabetes. Um, and actually healing diabetes. The difference really is where you keep your blood sugar at. When you manage diabetes, you're keeping it at a higher level, but you're kind of um, trying to get less spikes, but um, they don't require it to be as low as if your goal is like healing diabetes, like reversing it, then you're going to want to work on lowering your blood sugar and keeping it low. So that's really the difference. And so if you currently have type 2 diabetes, your focus should be getting your blood sugar to a normal range if you're looking to heal it, not just manage it. And I always focus on natural ways to do that versus medication. So you don't have to depend on medication your whole life. So if that is something that you prefer, like you're on medication and you want to get off of it, or you're on medication or you don't want to get on medication, or um, you know, you're just not a big fan of being on it for like a long-term basis or your whole life, then then this is really going to be for you. This is going to be like a more holistic, natural approach. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, just give me a yes in the comments. Let me know. Okay, so let's get into the tips now. And my first tip is to really get control of your blood sugar and bring it down to a normal level is to eat protein at each meal. You want to choose to eat some kind of protein at each meal. Um, 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day, whatever it is that you eat, you want to always prioritize protein in your meals. So, protein helps stabilize blood sugar by slowing down the absorption of carbs and sugar. When protein is digested, it breaks down into glucose more slowly than carbohydrates do. And this helps you maintain a more normal blood sugar range. So if you're going to eat protein, that's automatically going to help you lower your blood sugar and keep it in a more stable range than eating more carbs or sugar. Protein also triggers the release of glucagon, which is a hormone that stabilizes insulin levels. Um, so, so if you're going to eat carbs, like say you do eat some carbs or carbs. a few days a week or one meal a day or whatever it is, always pair it with some protein to help with that blood sugar balance, to help with that in the stabilize the insulin levels. Um, so uh, but even if you don't eat carbs, like say that, that's not the best thing for your diabetes, and so you try to stay away from a lot of carbs or like a real high carb, meals or something. Um, Protein is really going to be the best choice. It's still one of the best fuel sources because it keeps you full and satisfied. Uh, you can go hours after eating, a good amount of protein. You can go hours and it won't cause big spikes in your blood sugar. And that's one of the complaints I have with a lot of diabetic clients. They get hungry, they feel like they never get full, like they always feel hungry. And protein is a great way to stay full and satisfied, to really get you that feeling of fullness. So, some great sources of protein are oily fish, lean meats, beans or legumes, eggs, and cheese. So, these are just a few of the proteins. There's so many out there, but I just chose some of like a variety of different ones that would be really good for diabetics. So, my second tip for better blood sugar control is to keep your processed food consumption less than 20% of your diet. And I know you guys hear me talk about the 80-20 rule a lot. Like, that's really what I follow, that's what I teach. Um, but that is a really good tip for diabetics because uh, foods that have been made in a factory, that's what's considered ultra processed foods, right? We all know that. That's a processed food. It's a man-made food, even though it might have food ingredients in it, it's still been processed like in a factory, um, and they can cause blood sugar. These ultra processed foods can cause blood sugar to spike quickly because they usually contain fast acting carbs. So, you know, there's rarely a ultra processed food that I've seen that doesn't contain a lot of carbs or sugar or both. So processed foods also can contain refined grains. So not just whole grains, that we that our ancestors used to eat. Now most of the grains we see in the grocery store and things are refined grains. That is a processed, an ultra processed grain. Um, and these refined grains, they lack nutrients and fiber. They lack nutrients and fiber that slows down the body's breakdown of carbs. Refined grains act just like sugar in your body, right? Because they've been stripped of all their nutrients and the fiber and things that would normally help your body burn through them slower. They've been stripped of all the nutrients. To make them taste better, to make them more appealing, but that's not what's best for our health. So that they might taste better, but they aren't as good for our health, and they actually just act just like a like sugar in the body because um, there's nothing in that refined grain to buffer that your blood sugar from going up. So there's no fiber, there's no protein, there's no nothing. And a lot of these processed grains, they have things that are added back. So you might see a refined processed grain like a bread or pasta, something like that, rice, anything like that. You might see it with, oh, it's got some fiber, it's got some protein, it's got vitamins, but these are artificially added, right? So once they've stripped it, processed it, made it, the way they want it, then they might add a little bit of that back just so it looks better. But your body just really doesn't do as well uh, as it does on naturally containing nutrients in the food. It doesn't, your body doesn't do as well on these artificial nutrients that have been added back in. It really does better if it contains, if the food contains it naturally. And that's why whole foods are always better than these refined grains or processed, ultra processed foods. I hope that makes sense, you guys. Let me know. Um, these foods can cause significant spikes in blood sugar, and that makes it hard to balance, right? When you have a roller coaster blood sugar and it's always going up and down because you're eating a lot of these refined grains or ultra processed foods, that makes it really hard to control blood sugar. So some examples of ultra processed foods. I know I kind of explained some earlier, but some are sugar sweetened drinks, like soda and juice and things like that. White rice, white bread, cereal, candy, cookies, chips, all that kind of stuff is ultra processed food with no nutrients in it. So, nothing to keep your blood sugar stable. It's just going to spike your blood sugar up, um, just like eating like a bunch of sugar or carbohydrates. It's just going to spike it right up. So instead, you want to look for foods that naturally contain fiber, like I said, and that's going to be things like beans, nuts, fruits, and vegetables, whole food sources of fiber and nutrients. So, so try to keep your processed food consumption to less than 20% of your diet, to 20% or less. And that's going to be anything in, like packages and boxes and bags and things like that. Look at the ingredients. If it's not like broccoli, green beans, then it's probably an ultra processed food if it has a large ingredient list and it's in a package. So just try to make those kind of foods. I'm not saying cut them out 100%. I don't believe in that. I think that's just too strict. But if you can get your consumption of it to 20% or less, you're really going to be able to improve your health, improve your diabetes, improve your blood sugar and all that. So, okay, my third tip is to prioritize stress management. If you are diabetic, one of the best things you can do to control your blood sugar is to manage your stress well. And this doesn't mean to avoid stress. That's not what I'm talking about. It means to manage it with an activity you enjoy, right? Some kind of activity that helps you lower stress, relax, and something you can stay consistent with. If it's something that is too, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm going to go take a yoga class an hour away from my house or across town or whatever," how likely are you to stay consistent with that? You know, um, you want to choose something that is easier for you to stay consistent with, right? Because stress causes blood sugar levels to rise by making it harder for insulin to work properly. This is why this is so important for diabetics. It's important for everybody, but especially diabetics because stress really does raise blood sugar levels, even if you haven't eaten anything. When you're stressed, your body releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline that can cause your liver to release more glucose. So, um, you know, this is why it is so important, because even like I said, even if you haven't eaten anything, you can still get blood sugar spikes. You can still have really high blood sugar if you're not managing your stress well. And y'all, I never learned this when I was going through nutrition school. When I was getting my nutrition degree, I never learned this, right? This is something I learned on my own. Later on, like after college, when I was dealing with my own blood sugar issues, stress, learning to manage stress, that is something I never knew. And when I was going through school, had to learn it later on my own. And I wish I had learned it way sooner, because this would have helped me. This would have helped me maybe not even get diabetes, right? If I had learned to deal with my stress in a better way, um, because I was stress eating. That's I was using sweets to take care of my stress, instead of finding something that would, something healthier that would manage it better. So I wish I had learned that way sooner. I had no idea like stress was affected blood sugar. I never heard that before until way later on in life. Um, so the fact that you can raise your blood sugar significantly if you're stressed without eating anything would have been so valuable for me to know, and probably for you guys too, right? And that's why I'm telling you now. So if you've never heard that, now you know. And I always, like, when I was going through nutrition school, I always focus on diet and exercise, because that's what they taught us. That's what they said was the most important thing for diabetes. Um, and you know, and it is very important. Those things play a huge role, but so does stress. And that's just something that I wish had been taught, right? So stress plays a huge role in balancing blood sugar and healing diabetes, really. So you could be doing everything right. You could be eating a perfect diet. You could be getting your exercise, but if you have high stress and your cortisol is high and your adrenaline is high, and you never do anything to lower stress, then you may be just keeping your blood sugar up, and that's why you can't get rid of your diabetes, and that's why you can't lose weight, um, because you're not paying attention to that area, right? So try to do something relaxing most days that relieves stress. You want something that you can stay consistent with, like I said earlier. Some of the examples that I think of as lowering stress are like meditation, like a long prayer, like just get real relaxed and comfy and prayer, meditate, journal. Journaling is a great way for some people. Walking in nature, that's one of my favorite things to do, is get outside and walk around in nature and see the birds and the trees and the flowers and all those things. And that really helps me, get to like a relaxed place. And then like deep breathing, just taking long, deep breaths, very slow breaths. That is a great way to calm down really quick. That is something that I suggest, like for nurses and things, and people who have like really busy jobs that where they're always on the go. That is something that you don't need anything for. You just take some deep breaths, right? Um, Throughout the day, and that can really help relax you when you're stressed out. Also, taking a bath. Some people like that. Some people like relaxing at the end of the day, taking a long bubble bath or something like that. That's really relaxing for some people. But really, just doing something that makes you relax, that makes you happy, that makes you laugh. Um, those are really the things you need to focus on because that's going to get your cortisol down. That's going to get your adrenaline down. That's going to get you out of that fight or flight state that we don't need. It's not healthy to be in all the time. It's okay sometimes, but we don't need to stay there. So just prioritize your stress management and get consistent with something that you can do most days to relieve stress and to lower stress. All right, and my last tip for better blood sugar balance is to use your muscles. And so this is something I also learned kind of later on in life. I always was taught, do the cardio. The cardio is going to burn the calories, it's going to burn the sugar. And yes, it helps. And cardio is a great form of exercise, but actually using your muscles, if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic or you want to prevent diabetes, this is really the way to go. So working your muscles can lower blood sugar by drawing sugar from your blood to use it as energy for your muscles. So when you work your muscles, you help get glucose out of your bloodstream, and that lowers your blood sugar. So when you're doing some kind of resistance training and your muscles need that energy, it can get it from your bloodstream, from the glucose in your bloodstream. Um, and when you do this on a regular basis, it helps you become more insulin sensitive, which prevents and or reverses insulin resistance. So insulin sensitivity is a good thing. You want to become more insulin sensitive. So if you start working your muscles, then that can help you get more insulin sensitive, which will help you reverse and prevent insulin resistance. So any exercise that works your muscles will help. And even like if you go outside and walk, or you walk on a treadmill, if you walk uphill, or use your leg muscles, that is a form of resistance training when you're working those leg muscles. So that is a form, but also, you know, weight training, lifting weights, push-ups, squats, resistance bands, anything like that that's going to work your muscles, that's going to build muscle, that's going to require a lot of energy. And require your muscles to need a lot of energy, that's going to help get your blood sugar down. So try that. And that is all of my tips for today. So I'm going to go through them real quick again in case you hopped on late. The first one was eat protein at each meal. And the second one is to keep your processed food consumption less than 20% of your diet. The third one was prioritize stress management. And the fourth one is use your muscles. And so if you're having trouble regulating your blood sugar, it's always high when you go to the doctor, your A1C is always up, your doctor's always on you about, your blood sugar's too high, or you're testing it at home and it's always high, or it's very up and down, like a roller coaster, or you're wanting to prevent diabetes, say you're wanting to prevent it. You try these 4 tips. Try to get consistent with these 4 tips. And, if you try them, let me know how they're working for you, because I really think, I know, like, I've had plenty of clients that have done these things and they've reversed their diabetes. They've healed their diabetes. They don't have to take medication anymore. They lost weight. They feel great. They have more energy. So try these tips and let me know how they're working for you. Okay. And if you have any more questions about this topic, about what we've talked about, feel free to leave me a comment in this on this live. Leave me a comment, or you can direct message me if you want to. If you have a question that you don't want everybody to know about, if you just want it between you and I, you are more than welcome to direct message me the question, and we can chat about it there. And anyways, I hope these help. Let me know if you try them. Let me know if you have any additional tips that have helped you get your blood sugar down. We can always use more tips. So if you have any you want to share, let us know in the comments. And that's it. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next week. All right, bye.